Hello guys, and welcome to another video on my channel. So today we are working on this vintage Matchbox car. This car is actually a Pontiac Grand Prix Sports Coupe, and it was made round about 1964. So the paint on this car is in not very good condition, but other than that it's a very good car and ready for restoration. I think those old Matchbox cars sometimes have more potential, and that's why we are going to spray this in a different color than it originally was, and we're also going to add more details to it, but that you will see later. So now I will stop talking and let's get started. So here we got our car. Also the paint on the base is in not very good condition, but it has opening doors. And it has some very nice suspension on this. And this is what I love on these old cars, because I just like to hold them in my hand and yeah, to look at the suspension, because some of those cars have genius mechanisms on it, like for example the old Majorette cars. So here we put it apart. We are just using a screwdriver to get up the final part, but you have to pay attention to not damage the wheels. So we are going to get off the base, and then we are going to take the interior out. The interior is in almost new condition except for the missing tow hook, and we're also going to get the glass and the doors. Those doors are held in by the interior, and I don't really like that, but what can you do? Now we're going to strip off the paint. So you always should wear rubber gloves doing this. And on this car actually the paint came off surprisingly well. And before it came off it kinda turned like very orange. And I don't know what this has to do with, but it looks kinda unique. So here you can see the paint peeling off already. And now with the paint removed, we're going to paint the model. We're painting it the same color as the Saab 900 we did last week. Check the video out if you haven't already. And now we're going to spray it onto the model. Some of you may have seen that I didn't use primer on this car. And the only reason to that is because I've run out of primer. And I thought, let's try this without primer. I especially picked a good model with a good condition, so it won't be in need of any primer. You should always place a good layer of paint onto the model, because at the beginning I made the mistake to not put so much paint on it because I was afraid to cover up the details, but you shouldn't be so afraid and just cover the paint nicely. Now we are going to put on some details. This time I tried a new technique. This was used by diecast perfection on a car, and it's basically a technique to do some chrome onto the car. And you don't paint on the chrome, but you're just sanding off the paint where you want to have your chrome, so that the metal underneath is coming through, and that should pretty much look like chrome. This works especially good on the edge of the fender. The paint we're using this time is Vallejo metal color. We're using it to paint in the headlights and the bumpers. This is water-based paint, so that's very handy, because if you screw the details up, you can just get them off with a wet towel, so you don't have to be afraid to screw up your model, because I know many people don't paint details on the model because they are afraid to ruin the model. But this paint actually looks really like real chrome, so I was really happy with the result on this one. And the best thing is that it's water based. So now we're going to put our attention to the base. I didn't want to remove the wheels on this one, and I just put some tube on it. So this is just to mask off the wheels doing paint stripping and painting. I stripped and painted the base off camera, because I thought you have seen me painting just multiple times that it would be boring for you to watch. Now we are going to paint the roof of the model. We are going to paint it white, because I thought it would look very good, and I also think this is a realistic color combination for this car. I just used some Tamiya white with some brown inside, so that it isn't too white, because I think that looks much better than just really white. I let the model dry for a day, and now it's dry. As you can see, I've painted on all the chrome parts, and they really went on nicely with the Vallejo paint. But now we're going to paint the inside of the doors, because I think they don't look very good like that, and it isn't a lot of work to paint them, so I paint them in the same color as the interior. And here we got all the parts ready for assembly. So as you can see, I also painted the inside of the car. I really like how this is looking. And now we're going to try to put in the doors. This was very fiddly and it was kind of difficult. I think I tried it 100 times until I got it on camera, because they fell out all the time and it was very tricky. I wouldn't like to do this again. Then we're placing the interior. The tow hook on the interior is actually missing, but that isn't a big problem, because we're just painting the rest of it in the chrome color, and I don't think you see that there's something missing. I forgot to tap this model, and that's why we're going to put it together just by super gluing on the old rivet. So before I reveal the finished model, I want to remind you what we started with. It didn't look very good, and someone may have thrown it away, but it had some potential, and I thought, let's give it a new life. And here is what it looks like now. I really like how this one turned out. I especially like the details on it, and as I said, I really suggest you the Vallejo chrome paint. So it's actually called metal color. It's just much better than all the chrome paints or pens that other people are using, because I've tried them out too. and on this one you can paint just so precise with a toothpick, and if you screw something up you can just remove it with a wet towel. So I really suggest this to you. And now I would like to say thanks for watching. Consider to subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you like it. Dislike it if you don't like it. But if you dislike the video, tell me why, because I'd like to improve it. And that's all for now. And now I'd like to say that I'm very sorry for the videos I've not made so many videos so far, because I've been very busy with school. But now in a week school is over and the summer begins, and I will put out much more videos for you. So stay tuned for that, and see you next time.